Okay, welcome to our council meeting tonight. We're all happy to be back from our July sabbatical, although even though the city council wasn't in session, we had other meetings, Sandag and North County Transit and all those meetings, but we didn't have council meetings. So this is our first council meeting since July. So anyway, welcome tonight, and I'm calling it to order, and I will have a roll call by our city clerk.
The record will reflect that all members are present.
The Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation tonight will be done by Ann Green, a leader from All Saints Episcopal Church, and she's here tonight on behalf of Reverend Michael Carr. So everybody rise, and then please remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Creator God, may your blessing be upon the tasks of the City Council meeting this evening. Bless their efforts with clear insight and wisdom, and let their deliberations and decisions be met with accuracy and impartiality. Guide their minds and hearts in the spirit of fairness with right thought and speech as they make decisions for this community. Let their activities and affairs reach a successful conclusion, and we give thanks to those who have answered this call to serve. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. The next thing on our agenda, I need to read the Brown Act Notice of Simultaneous Meeting Compensation. In accordance with the Brown Act, I'd like to announce that as a result of convening simultaneous meetings, the members of the Buena Sanitation District will receive compensation of $147.75 for the district meeting pursuant to Buena Sanitation District Ordinance 2006-1. The next thing on our agenda, we'll have approval of the agenda by our city manager, Patrick Johnson.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to, on item C11, remove page 17 of 21 as the page wasn't necessary. So removal of page 17 of 21 on C11.
Okay. And I'll have our city attorney, Darrell Piper, bring us out from closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the City Council did meet in closed session today on the item CS1 on today's closed session agenda. No actions were taken that are required to be reported at this time.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda are our presentations, and I have three of them actually tonight. The first one is the People's Choice Award to Marl Suley for Vision's 2012 art exhibit. And let's see, looks like Chair of the Commission, Buddy Smith, will be present to accept that. And then also proclamation declaring Wednesday, August 15th, Peggy Zachary Day. I have a proclamation for her and a certificate of appointment to Lisa Sykes to serve on the Parks and Rec Commission. So I'll come down and do those things right now. Congratulations. Masu? Oh, it's nice to meet you, Masu. Here is, let me give this to you. And congratulations. This is for the Visions Jury Art Exhibition, which we had out in our lobby out there. It's over, it was there for like about 2 weeks, was it?
No, 2 months.
2 months. Oh, 6 weeks, actually. Oh, brother, time flies. But it was a great exhibition. We all enjoyed it so much. And you got the People's Choice Award. And so here's a little certificate for you. And maybe, Buddy, did you want to say something?
No.
About nothing? You want to say nothing? Okay. Okay. He says that obligates her to come to all the shows now. That's so. Yeah, but they were. It was. If you didn't see the exhibit, next time we have one, be sure and come and see it because it was outstanding. Outstanding. All different kinds of art. And she did a woodcut. Tell them what you did. A little. It was like a carving. Yes. Come on. Do it here. There's a picture of it up there, but explain it.
Yes, it is Russian Baltic birch wood, and then I just, like carved in wood. Actually, those are all hand carved, paintings. So That's it.
That's amazing, yeah. Yeah, it was very big. It was a wood carving that she did, so it was amazing. So 60 by 48. So congratulations. Do you want to do a picture? Okay, let me put this all down here. There. Okay, we're going to do it. Come out here. Out here. And the next thing I have here is Peggy Zachary. We're going to give her a proclamation. Come on up here, Peggy. And congratulations to you. And actually, it was noted that our volunteers had recorded 3,782 hours last year at a minimum wage. This is equivalent to $30,256.88 of volunteerism to our Rancho Buena Vista, so Adobe. So it was congratulations to you. And then let me read you this proclamation. So it says, whereas, you have to stand by all the whereases here. Whereas in 1992, Peggy Zachary became a member of the Friends of the Rancho Buena Vista Adobe and is celebrating 20 years as active docent. Whereas Peggy is a touring docent and has been the longest serving hospitality hostess, having fed docents and visitors alike. She also serves as the Rancho Adobe's representative to the Vista Community Clinic Holiday Home Tour and oversees the decorating of the Rancho Adobe rooms at Christmas. Whereas before Peggy came to the Rancho Adobe 26 years ago, she volunteered at the City of Vista with a culture caravan program. She was hired as a part-time employee and has a record 22-year career with the city, serving in various departments and venues, including the Recreation and Community Services Department with Recreation, the Abo Playhouse, and the Moonlight Amphitheater. Whereas Peggy has served as a member and former board member of the Moonlight Angels Auxiliary Fundraising Committee and a member of the Vista Garden Club for over 10 years, Peggy has lived in Vista since 1975 after moving to California from St. Louis to be closer to her youngest son, a Marine stationed at Camp Pendleton. Her eldest son resides in Maryland and her daughter in Colorado. Peggy also has 3 grandsons and 1 great-granddaughter and 2 great-grandsons. So now, therefore, the mayor and members of our Vista City Council very much appreciate Peggy's efforts on behalf of the Rancho Buena Vista Adobe and do hereby proclaim Wednesday, August 15th, as Peggy Zachary Day in the City of Vista. So congratulations to you. This is for you. A copy of it here. And then I think we're going to do a photo opportunity here. And then one last one here. We're going to give a certificate of appointment to Lisa Sykes. She's been appointed to serve on the Parks and Rec Commission effective July 1st, 2012, and expires June 30th, 2013. So congratulations to you. Okay, so the next order of business is our consent calendar, and those are items C1 through C11. And let's see, we have 2 pulled from, 3 pulled from our consent, 2, that's the discussion item here. C1. 2 pulled from C1 and C11 are being pulled by the audience, and then does our council want any? Pulled? It says C1 here. Doesn't that say C1? Chuck, did you want C1? Oh, okay, so never mind. Okay. So it's, yeah, okay, so we pull C3 and C11. So does anybody on our council want anything else pulled? Any other items? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for the balance of the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion for the
I'll
remainder.
second it.
Okay, please cast your votes. Okay, those motions pass unanimously. So the first item we will take then will be item C3, our treasurer's cash report for ending May 31st. Mr. Rabel?
Good evening and welcome back to work. One quick question. Did the $7.5 million that the state demanded of us, did that come out of our investments?
I'll answer that, Pat.
Can you be more specific on the question?
Not too long ago, last month, I believe, the state came out with a very limited short-term requirement that redevelopment pay them $7.5 million. That $7.5 million, to my knowledge, was loaned from the city to the redevelopment agency.
Yeah, you're right. It would come out of our investments. However, that payment was made in July, and this is the treasurer's cash report going through May 31st. So
Gotcha.
when we come to the treasurer's report for July, you'd see a difference. Is that correct,
no
Mr.
problem.
Nielsen?
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions on that item? I'm seeing none. I would entertain a motion for.
Okay, and I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion is approved unanimously. We move on to items C11, which is the use and commitment agreement for unencumbered housing bond funds.
We have, Mr. Mayor, we'll be happy to give a report with Mr. Zinner.
Okay. Is it on? Push, how about the button down below?
There we go. Thank you, Dale. Chairperson Ritter and members of the Successor Agency Board, my name is John Meyer. I'm the Housing and Redevelopment Director, and with me tonight is Jeff Zinner, our Redevelopment and Housing Manager. The use and commitment agreement has been the sole bright spot to come from the recent changes to the dissolution process. AB 1484 was adopted as part of the state budget, allows for the 2010 housing bonds to be used by the Vista Housing Authority. As detailed in the staff report, the housing bonds have been listed in the third ROPS, which you will consider later this evening. Further, this agreement, as well as the third ROPS, must be approved by the Oversight Board, which is scheduled to meet tomorrow night. There is currently just under $7.5 million in bond proceeds available. These funds must be used to increase, improve, and preserve the supply of affordable housing here in the city of Vista. We have begun preliminary negotiations with 3 affordable housing developers to develop projects at the Buena Creek site, Paseo Santa Fe, and North Santa Fe. Portions of these funds could be used to support any of those 3 projects, as well as any other future housing projects. This concludes staff's presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions.
Would you like to hear the speaker, or would you have questions first? Okay, Mr. Rabel?
Mayor, Council, question comes up, who is the housing authority?
There would be the Community Development Commission oversees the Housing Authority, the CDC, the Community Development Commission, which the City Council acts as the governing body.
I thought now we're talking about the successor agency to the community development.
The city agreed to take over the housing function, so we are the successor agency as well as the successor housing authority. In the city of Vista, that is the housing authority, also known as the Community Development Commission.
The Community Development Commission was also known as the Redevelopment Agency. That hat has gone away, but the housing hat remains.
For now, I guess.
For now.
Okay. I give up. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the council? None down here? Then I would entertain a motion for approval. Or
I'll make a motion on any item. And to go on with Mr. Rabel, sometimes we almost give up too on these, on this redevelopment thing.
did I get a second? Frank, could you second it? Is that yes?
I'll second it.
Okay. Please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is our discussion item. D1 is the third recognized obligation payment schedule and administrative budget. And so who is John going to take that? John Meyer is going to take that.
Chairperson, member, and members of the Successor Agency Board. For your consideration this evening is the third recognized obligation payment schedule, or ROPS. This ROPS covers the period from January 2013 through June 2013. AB 1484 was adopted as part of the state's budget and, as detailed in the staff report, provided several changes to the ROPS process. Both the outstanding debt of $262 million and the requested trust fund payment of $6.5 million is lower than previous ROPS. The total outstanding debt should decrease every period, and the requested trust fund payment will fluctuate with the even number or fall ROPS. The reason is primarily because of the debt service in the fall, which is higher than the debt service in the spring. We are set to make all of our debt service payments scheduled for September 1st. As previously reported, the housing bonds have been added to the ROPS, and so has the bridge loan that was approved July 25th, 2012. We did distribute a revised ROPS earlier today because of changes to the worksheets received by the Department of Finance after the agenda went out. These changes do not affect any of the obligation payments nor the amount of the request trust fund payment. Also included in this action is the administrative budget for the period of the third ROPS. The budget is $191,203, which reflects the 3% allowance. Upon your approval, the ROPS, the administrative budget, and the use commitment agreement will be forwarded to the Oversight Board, which is scheduled to hear these items tomorrow night. That concludes Steph's presentation.
Do you want to hear the speaker, or do you want questions first? Speaker? Okay, Mr. Rabel.
Just a couple questions. The 190 for admin sounds about right, based on our last go-through on this. But moreover, I'm looking at page 12, and there's a whole bunch of TBDs when we talk about the total obligation. Number 41, 42, 43, 44. Can we submit TBDs to the state?
Yes. Those are items, particularly like the utility services, that we can't project over the entire period of time.
We don't have a budget for utilities?
Go ahead.
On items like utilities, we would look at it on a period by period or an annual basis. The column about total outstanding debt for the duration of the dissolution is a number that we're not able to accurately predict.
Understand now. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the council? No? In that case, I would look for a motion.
I move to approve the report.
Second.
Mr. Lopez, second. Or did you have something to say? Okay, Councilmember Lopez.
I don't know if I messed this thing up or not, but to me, our city has done a great job here as far as
over the past 2 or 3 years, with this economy going the way it is, they've been able to cut back and budget so that we won't have any problems now and in the future. So, but one of the things that has happened is the people of our community have seen that all cities have problems, but Vista, I feel, has less than other cities. So we might not have given you all the services you want, but Vista has continued to provide services. And that is all done is because of you folks out there and in the community. And that's because you shop Vista. And when you shop Vista, that dollar stays here. And when that dollar stays here, it provides the services that you want in your community. So with that, it's because our sales tax is up, it's helping us here. So continue to shop in Vista, and I'm telling you, we will have a good, strong community in the years to come. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, then please cast your votes.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. The next thing on our agenda is our public hearing. It's on the Vista Business Park Specific Plan Amendment and Rezone. And Mr. Conley will take that.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. John Conley, Community Development Director. I'm here this evening to review the Business Park Specific Plan Update. This is an effort that was undertaken by the staff based on an economic analysis that was prepared by our Economic Development Department back in 2008 to evaluate the business park and make recommendations on how to maintain the economic viability of the park in the long term. The report that was prepared included several recommendations for target industries and strategies to maintain the economic vitality of the park, and in such it triggered a review of the specific plan, which is the zoning document for the business park by the staff. The Vista Business Park Specific Plan area is shown in the map on the overhead. It covers about 2.5 square miles, about 1,600 acres in the south part of Vista, bound generally by Sycamore Avenue, Melrose Drive, and Palomar Airport Road. To note, the majority of the park was adopted in '93 when the original specific plan was adopted, and in 1999 there was another small area adopted in the north corner, which I'm showing right here, which is the area that's north and west of Sycamore. It's the former Y Rock Quarry area. That's the latest addition to the area of the park. This is an aerial photo showing the development in the park. It's a little dated, but I did identify the parcels that are remaining to be developed. There are about 6 major parcels that are remaining in the park. The majority of the park is built out. They range in size, undeveloped parcels from about 15 acres down to about 1 acre. But I just wanted to show that the majority of these changes aren't really intended to affect future development, more tenants of the park and businesses that are going to occupy the park as we move forward. So the specific plan amendment and zone change that's proposed really goes through 4 areas. One is modifications to the development standards. Second is changes to land use categories within the plan. The third are some changes to land use designations and removal of some properties from the plan. And the fourth is a revised map. So I'll cover each one briefly for the council. The development standards are primarily intended to clarify the sign regulations. Right now the sign regulations in the specific plan allow for individual signage, and we're requiring a comprehensive sign program for any businesses that want to have more than one monument sign in front of their place of business. It's limiting right now, and the comprehensive sign program process will allow you to have more than one sign if you're interested. We're also proposing, excuse me, to amend the fencing requirements to allow for some storage behind buildings and to allow for some screening with chain link fencing in those areas. There's also some sections to clarify and review, clarify the review and approval process through an administrative approval, which we call a plot plan. And we also created some exempt categories for smaller additions and internal tenant improvements that we don't want to have to go through a formal planning application that meet the intent of the specific plan. The specific areas within the park, there are 5 of them in the amended specific plan. Area A is a commercial designation. It allows a range of commercial uses. We didn't really make any changes there. We simply reordered it. Area B is Research Light Industrial and Business Support Group. This is the industrial manufacturing zoning in the park that dominates the majority of the business park area. So the major changes that we made to the specific plan are in Area B. We primarily separated out scientific research and professional office in the intent that building owners or tenants can occupy the space with office space or research and development space to the ultimate extent of the building as long as the parking is provided. Right now, the specific plan isn't clear on how much office space is permitted. It calls out for corporate offices, but doesn't clarify that just any office use could occupy the park. A lot of the target industries that were recommended in the economic analysis really focus more on what we call conditioned space, which is office space and R&D space that allows for more professional use and not open warehouse space that you would see for manufacturing a warehouse. So we made some changes to allow for more of that. It also adds a category for commercial services or contractors with indoor storage because we've seen a lot of need for space for that, and it has been a successful use in the park in the past. We introduced some new ancillary uses, which are secondary uses. Those include tasting rooms for some of the breweries and cabaret with a cabaret license, and some small retail components for companies that want to have a retail storefront and a small piece of their operation. We introduced a special use in the category of energy generation because we've seen a lot of interest in that, but it would require a special use permit, so still would have to go through a discretionary approval process. And we clarified that churches are not permitted in the specific plan area. That's from an older amendment that was never formally made. And finally, we introduced minor uses in the form of recreational facilities, so children's play facilities and gymnasiums. Recreational uses that require large indoor spaces were formerly restricted from going in the park. They'll now be able to go in with approval of a minor use permit, which is an administrative approval. Area C is the next commercial general group. This is an area that is in the corner, the periphery of the park along the major arterials, and we simply clarified in this category again what uses are permitted. Area D is the open space corridor. That's what we refer to as La Mirada Canyon. Again, made revisions from a prior amendment. Area E is a residential use group, which is a small residential community off of Brookhaven Pass in that area. We simply clarify the development standards in that area consistent with the prior zoning. And finally, Area F is the Home Depot site. That was created when Home Depot was approved because we wanted to allow for either industrial or commercial zoning on that property in the event that Home Depot went away in the future. And so that's now Area F. That completes all the land use categories. We are proposing to move 2 properties out of the specific plan and rezone them. Those are shown in the overhead here. They're along Green Oak Road near Sycamore Avenue. These were properties that were incorporated into the specific plan when the Y-Rock Quarry was closed in 1999, and they were zoned R1, which is residential, and OP, which is office professional. Because they're not industrially zoned, it just creates more confusion and another layer of regulation to keep them in the plan, and there's really no need to do that since they have standard zoning applied to them now, so we're simply removing them from the specific plan and applying the standard zoning designation that those properties have right now. So it doesn't change any of the uses that are permitted on those properties, but removes that extra layer of regulation that's in the specific plan. The other zoning change is a land use designation change that we're making on the property directly south of the Hyatt Place property. This is a site that was approved back in 2009, I believe, for a medical office building that was never developed. That entitlement has since expired. The use permit that was issued only allowed, or the amendment that was made to the specific plan at that time only allowed medical office uses on this property in the future. And so we propose to change that to allow general commercial uses with the intent that another hotel may be able to develop there in the future. And finally, we adopted a new map, or are proposing to adopt a new map, which is shown in the overhead. This simply clarifies all the zoning areas. It's a copy of the old map with the area added that was incorporated in '99 that I showed you at the beginning. That's up around Sycamore Avenue and Green Oak Road. And that completes my staff presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
We have two speakers here. Do you want to hear the speakers first?
Could I ask a question first?
Sure, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Connolly, when we did all this changes, did we go out into that community and did they receive letters or anything that's going on here?
We did go through the chamber and the Vista Business Park committee. I know that our economic development director maintains a close working relationship with a lot of the businesses down there, and as part of the economic study that was done in 2008, they did reach out to a number of the businesses down there and get input from them on what changes they would like to see, and those are included in that plan. We've incorporated those changes to the extent that we can. Things that have come up recently are the brewery issues with the tasting rooms, some of the recreational uses, the things that are, the changes that we're making that are outside the realm of the economic analysis are all in the plan based on input that we've received from the community, from the brokers, and from the industrial park users.
Now, one other question. Now, when you're doing this changing like this, the outer buildings, you said that that you would be allowing outdoor storage?
Yes.
Now, the outdoor storage, the ones who are next to residential, are we making any kind of barriers of some type, or when we do that, is that required?
So
because
you'll note
people living right next to it, looking into storage areas, might not be too good for the area. So what are we doing about that?
Well, you'll note on the map that's shown in the overhead, most of the areas that are adjacent to residential have these buffer areas. There's buffer area 1 and 2, and the buffer areas have specific provisions on screening for the residential that include landscaping and walls and some other berming. The other interior portions of the park, there's limitations on outdoor storage right now. We're not looking to create an outdoor storage business park. What we're looking to do is allow businesses that need to have some small component of outdoor storage have it in the back of their building as long as it's screened appropriately. We'd be looking at that for adjacent industrial users as well as any other type of use, residential, commercial, utility, whatever it may be, but it would have to be screened from view from the public street.
Is there any height limitation on what you allow storage to be, how high storage is being allowed?
We allow fencing up to 6 feet without a building permit. We allow up to 10 feet.
How high?
6 feet without a building permit, 10 feet with a building permit, and no storage within those areas can exceed the height of those screen walls or fences.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else, or would you like to hear the speaker?
Well, I was going to compliment Mr. Connolly and staff for keeping our business park dynamic and current with the changing economy and some of the changing dynamics of our region. And I was also complimenting you on how you've maintained the integrity of the appearance of our business park within our city. And because we are adjacent to other retail and residential areas, and yet our business park really blends nicely, and the proposals you've made reflect that effort. And I was going to ask you what Council Member Lopez did about the interaction with the business park community, and you've answered that nicely. And so I think you're taking input and reflecting something that will enhance. But the main thing that I appreciated in the report was that we employ 20,000 people out there. I mean, we're a major employer generator for the region, and we should take a lot of credit for that. But thank you.
Yeah, over 800 businesses and over 20,000 employees. Yeah, that's amazing, our business park. Do you want to hear the speakers? Anybody else? Okay. Okay, the first speaker is Cliff Kaiser.
Mayor, Council, good evening. One of the things that necessitated a Vista Business Park update was this ERA study done in 2008. Now, I'm not in favor or against the business plan change specifically, but it is interesting to note that it's taken us 4 years to get from this study to proposing a change to the specific plan for the business park. It seems like even though the report said there have been some significant changes, rapid changes in technology and manufacturing industry, we didn't act on those apparently rapidly to make those changes. Another observation is that it said that we should target high-value industries such as architectural, engineering, and related services, and that had a score in this report of 94, well above any of the other ones, and it's not clear to me that we've acted on that advice. Could be, and it's just not clear at this point. Furthermore, the report had 25 action items across 10 different strategies. I'm hoping that over these past 4 years you have heard some updates as to how we're doing on those recommendations, or whether you took those action items as your action items or they were just the author's action items. Thank you.
Good comments, thank you. Next speaker is Claudia Falk.
Mayor and council members, I wanted to come here tonight because you're considering this change, and I wanted to give a face to the breweries that are located in your business park. My husband and I and our 2 partners own Aztec Brewery, and we're really thankful that you are revising things to help our small business grow. And my husband and I have actually had a business just slightly outside of Vista. It's in the county for the past 25 years, where we have graphic design business, and we wanted to create a product that was made in the United States that would support our community here, and we're very proud to be in Vista. And I just wanted to come up and say thank you. You're helping us, and we hope that it's going to be a mutually beneficial relationship, and we take what we're doing very seriously, and we try to follow your restrictions and rules as carefully as we can, and we are, again, grateful that you are being considerate and helping us grow. Thanks.
Thank you, and we're happy to have you here. Thank you. Our next speaker is Brian, is it Haghai? What is it? Hagee, okay. Okay, sorry.
Council members, Mayor, my name is Brian. I'm one of the owners of California Fruit Wine, the winery in the business park. So I just wanted to come and say, again, echo what Claudia said. Thank you for supporting us. We do feel like it is a mutually beneficial relationship, and I know we can speak on behalf of the winery and say we are in support of the changes as well. So.
Thank you. Actually, I had a glass of wine. I never drink, but I had a glass of wine at your winery. It was great. I was there for the grand opening. Okay, so any other comments from the council? Councilmember Aguilera? And Councilmember Gronke, want to go first?
First of all, I think what we're doing tonight is creating opportunity in the business park rather than mandating any percentages, right?
That's the intent of the update.
Okay. And in creating this opportunity, and we change the dynamics somewhat of some of the businesses there, what happens with parking considerations? Do we have to take those into account?
That's the primary issue in the change. The allowance for more office space or recreational uses or things that weren't originally envisioned in the park when it was built require a planning approval, either administrative or planning commission, depending on the level. And the primary consideration that we're going to be looking at is parking. The secondary issue would be impact to surrounding properties, but parking's the biggest one.
So what are some options?
Options are you can build new parking, you can prepare a plan to have off-site parking or have some type of a parking management plan where you give out vouchers for mass transit, that kind of thing. There's a number of different programs that you can evaluate, but in the specific plan, it's very general. It just says you either provide the parking or there's an off-site alternative, or you prepare a parking management plan that's approved by the Planning Commission that identifies how you're going to meet that parking demand.
Talk about mass transit. Is North County Transit aware of the transition, and are we utilizing them at all, getting people from the Sprinter station to the business park, or is that mostly done by the individual?
That has been a topic of conversation recently, is getting people from the Buena Creek Transit Center to down to the business park. I was told a while back that they started a shuttle. I haven't confirmed that with North County Transit, but they are planning on, or they were planning on at least starting a shuttle to address the westbound traffic on the Sprinter that gets off of Buena Creek and goes to the park.
And I sit on that board, and I know there was conversation about it. I don't know how far.
I don't know if it's been implemented. I'm looking at our city manager.
Yeah, I don't think it's been implemented yet. There's still discussion on it.
Okay. Also, you talked about this transition. How is the public aware of the transition? Do you use commercial vendors or something like that to get this word out that now there's opportunities within our park? Because obviously this is market-driven. This is not city-driven.
The uses that we've identified or targeted in the update are really uses that were permitted before. We exercise some discretion in how we approve, quote, corporate office. And so large users that wanted to come in have always been able to build office. We are simply clarifying that you can do office space regardless of how much of a percentage of the building it takes up. So I'm not going to say that we're allowing new uses that weren't previously allowed. They were probably more limited than they are now. But our Economic Development Department, has been active in review of the plan. They were instrumental in preparation of it. Mr. Ham, has the list of target industries, and, they're working with the broker industry on bringing those industries to Vista when they can.
Okay, so this is a slow transition. This is not something that's going to happen.
It's a kind of a result of the economy right now.
Okay. The last thing I want to bring up, and we talked about the ROPS earlier, and I was looking at this document, and I think I talked to the city manager about it. There's nothing on here that talks about the business park, so those bondings are matured.
That's correct.
So that means that the money that we invested in the business park is coming back to us tenfold then.
In property tax revenue?
Yeah, we generate significant property tax revenue from the business park.
So it was a good, wise investment from redevelopment's point of view then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. One last thing is, when we talk about parking opportunities, are there also grant opportunities to create these kind of parking structures or parking, off-site parking units or whatever?
Most of the grant opportunities are public agency grants, so the city may have an opportunity to pursue grant, money for parking. It's pretty limited in terms of private ventures. The majority of people who want to build a new business in the business park that require more parking are fairly well equipped to build that parking on the site. We've already seen some examples of that where we've seen some decks and some things built down there for more intensive uses. But that option exists.
Will he encourage designated drivers?
There you go. So to go along that line, the city's participation in this whole process is changing the zoning, obviously, but when it comes to the transition, that would be mostly market-based. There's really not too much the city can do except for maybe the approval process.
That's entirely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Aguilera.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question. I've had some discussions with the city manager, perhaps you've heard, about the tasting rooms and the cabaret license. Can you explain the cabaret license, how that's going to change?
So the changes that are before you this evening are to allow tasting rooms within the park as an ancillary use, and to allow cabarets within those tasting rooms if they obtain a cabaret license from the city. So that was not previously clarified or permitted, and we've sort of honestly kind of haphazardly regulated that through the planning process with the establishment of the breweries that are in place today. We're clarifying that they are permitted, that it has to be ancillary, and we have a definition of what that is. They all have to go through a separate license approval for the cabaret aspect, which is regulating live music. So all of those applications for any of the breweries that are down there that want to have cabaret can now come forward to the city council.
And what are the hours that they would be, or is that just
those are all
case by case?
Case by case that are going to be reviewed independently by the staff and recommended to the council.
Okay. Because my concern, as you're aware of, is are we taking away business from our downtown area and shifting it out to the business park area? I like that Mother Earth came down to our downtown area, is drawing people into the area. And they shut down pretty early, so they're not open super late like a bar would be or something like that. That's just been my concern, is are we shifting potential business for our downtown out to the business park area when we're working so hard to really develop our downtown? So I was curious what your opinion is on that.
We haven't seen a big crush of breweries interested in our downtown because the space down there doesn't really accommodate them. Maybe as development occurs and there's bigger spaces down there, that may happen. But really, the young startup, breweries, and I'm sure some of these folks can speak for themselves, that are looking to initiate a new business are really looking in the business park areas because the rents are right and the space is right. We don't really have those conditions in the downtown yet, in my opinion.
So what defines ancillary?
As far as a tasting room, it's less than 50% of your square footage of your suite.
So square footage,
It's based on the square footage of the suite.
not
So-
business though, right?
No, but I mean, the suite that the business is in is one space.
Right.
50% or less than that can be dedicated to the tasting room.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Then, in that case,
I'm just going to make a comment. That
go
was
ahead.
an interesting point you brought up about whether it's moving customer base. But my limited experience in just driving by and looking is it's almost creating a whole new attraction from, Carlsbad and San Marcos and other areas, which I think might be growing our customer base rather than shifting it. I would hope that's maybe, and some of the people who have those, maybe you could give. I'd be curious to know. Are you experiencing something like growing a base rather than shifting our base?
You want to come up? Can you come up here and talk? That way we can put it on the record.
When I've spoken to Dan at Mother Earth, he seems to indicate that a large quantity of his customers come from the theater area. They, maybe they're there, they see that there's a brewery right there nearby, and so it becomes part of their activity. Whereas a lot of the people that come to our brewery itself, they work nearby. They come there on Thursdays and Fridays, or else they do come from the surrounding areas, and sometimes they visit several of the breweries because we are located, relatively close to each other, or they have, maybe one night they come and see us, and one night they go to Iron Fist, or, there's several others, new ones that are coming by. But I don't really see that we get a lot of people that would be in your downtown area. Again, there's a large quantity of people that work in that area, and they do come there on Thursdays and Friday nights to visit us. Some bring friends on Saturdays and Sundays. So I see it as pretty much a different different market that comes in.
A different crowd. It's a different crowd that you're...
A different crowd, yeah.
So let me ask you this question since you're there. Would it be your goal to also do kind of like what Mother Earth did and open a separate business downtown that would
I'm interested in that. I would like to find out more about that. That's something, because we are growing. We've just increased our capacity for brewing. We're actually hoping to build a larger manufacturing plant that would do bottling and stuff. But we like to have the tasting room because that's where you find out what your customers are interested in, what your best beers, which ones you keep just in-house to be special there, which are good enough to go out into the market as a large volume. So we are actually, because we have 2 spaces now and the rest of the business area right where we are is full, we are thinking about eventually moving, the tasting room like Mother Earth did. That's one of the things we're considering. Or just maybe 2 years down the line, I'd like to build a large manufacturing plant if we keep growing.
So
because, and again, we've been in this area for a long time, and we like to work with Vista.
Okay.
We raised our kids here. What can I say?
So that would be part of your expansion plan, possibly.
That's what, my plan is for now.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah.
So just to add to what Claudia was saying, my brother and I do a lot of events outside of Vista. We do street fairs, and that's primarily where we promote our brand, promote Vista, and we're actually a part of the Vista Brewers Guild, which is an unofficial affiliation. All the breweries and the winery come together, and we're trying to create an atmosphere here in Vista, an attraction here in Vista. We don't have San Marcos's Restaurant Row. We don't have the beach. So we're trying to pull people from the coastal community, from down further in San Diego who have never heard of Vista, which is weird, and introduce them not only to Vista, to our product, but also to the other businesses in the business park, but also in the downtown area. So, and to speak to that, I think, we're definitely, my brother and I are definitely toying with what our 5-year, 3-year, 7, 8-year plan is. And I think we would like to stay in Vista for sure, especially we think we'd complement the downtown area as it is growing. Urban Pizza, Hennessy's, Mother Earth, Avo, all those places down there. Even, what's the deli? Yellow Deli. Yeah, I do think there's a lot of momentum in that direction. We'd like to be a part of that, but, we're definitely keeping our, it's our business, so we got to run it as well as possible.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
sure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Are you through, Councilman Aguilera? Did you have more questions?
No.
You all set?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Councilman Coles, do you have more questions? No. How about Councilmember Lopez?
One more question.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to go and visit a couple of these breweries, and they don't know who I am because I just walk in my old work clothes. And one thing that I did notice about them is that they're not places where they go and get all drunk and get out of line. When I walked in there and sat there for a little while, you can see the type of people that go in there, and they're going there to taste a good beer, and if they enjoy it, then they buy some, I guess. And so I'm real happy that they are businesses who really watch what they're doing. And I also found out last week that in Temecula, that there's applications for 7 breweries going in over there in Temecula. So, that's a lot. So, thank you, that's it.
We have more in Vista.
7 at one time. They're going in.
We still have our Brewers Guild. Okay, so I guess I need a motion on this, approving the specific plan amendment and rezone?
I make a motion to approve the specific plan amendment.
I'll second it as long as we can close the public hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Please close the public
Yeah,
hearing.
thanks. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. So the public hearing is closed. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. The next thing on our agenda, let me look, our oral communications. And I have several speakers here. So let's start with Doug Holt and neighbors.
Where did I find that?
Mayor and council members, I appreciate the opportunity to address you this evening. What we're doing here basically is our neighborhood. I moved here 7 years ago, paying well over $1 million for my home, living in an area that I was very proud of, and something that I had no problems with. And I know there's nothing the city of Vista can do about the housing market, what's happened in the last few years with the housing market. But our neighborhood, we got together and signed a petition because the deterioration of our neighborhood is tragic. We live up off of Marmlands, Vista Grande, and in off Prince Way, and we're all neighbors kind of in that area. And it would have been really hard for me to purchase a home in this market if what has been allowed to happen in this market with multi-trailers moving in at the bottom of the neighborhood, multiple families in one home, the trash, the Shell station has closed, and it's been so tragic to watch that mess. The home behind it looks like a drug house. It's boarded up now, got wood on the windows. And everybody on this street paid more than $1 million for our house on Prince Way and above. And it's, we're here really as concerned citizens, right? And we don't know what we can do as a neighborhood to try to make our, not just our investment, but make us feel better about going home at night. And it's tragic. And to see the condition of our street, we emailed you a copy of the pictures. I'm hoping you had a chance to see them. There's somebody trying to eke out a living by putting a fruit stand at the bottom of the street that It's got plastic all wrapped around it, and, you know, I don't know the process protocol for getting a business license to do that. I did call, and it seems to be legal, but it is in horrid condition. There's propane tanks hanging out of windows to keep things going in the house. The house looks like it should be condemned. And as a neighbor, we don't know what to do. We're not here demanding anything. We're here to tell you that it's not just our values of neighbors, and we care about the way Vista looks. I was proud enough I work at a reputable, I work at TaylorMade Golf. I'm a vice president for TaylorMade. I felt confident enough about our city to live here. I wanted to be out in a little more rural, kind of out in the strawberry fields or whatever, but to see what's happened with the Shell station, the home behind the Shell station, and to allow this multiple dwellings of trailers, there has to be, I don't know how many families, but there's many families living in these trailers. I'm worried about my family, my kids, everything that's going on there at night. They party, they do things that I just don't know what our rights are and what we can do as a community to try to fix this problem. And I guess we're here as concerned citizens in a situation where the economy's tough. We realize that. And, you know, I don't expect you to keep my value of my house when I buy a house, but the conditions of our community, hopefully when I'm looking at the mayor and the council members, that they want to do something about our community.
I'll have the city manager address that.
Well, I think the first thing you did was the appropriate one. You emailed us the pictures of the properties that you have concern over. As of last week, we sent code officers out, worked with the owner of the Shell station. Obviously, it's not ideal to have an old gas station or a gas station that's no longer functioning fenced in. The owner claims that she has plans for that station, but the owner did go out, remove the graffiti, remove some of the debris around that station. We're working with the property owner that the large tree is hanging over the street to clean that up and take it out of the right-of-way. We've issued notice of violations for some of the trailers that are on properties. We've removed the chair that was next to the house that's boarded up, as you mentioned. Unfortunately, the house is boarded up. There's no transients in it. It's not ideal to look at, but it is legal the way it stands. In terms of the produce stand, I understand your concerns based on the pictures that you sent over. It is in an agricultural zone, so it is legal. But we are working with some of the property owners that you mentioned and others out there, as long as it's complaint basis that we receive from you. We had code officers out over the weekend last week, and we'll continue to patrol the area. So that's the first step in asking what you can do. You notified the city, and we started taking some action. Hopefully you've noticed that with the gas station.
Yeah, we noticed that the graffiti was off the Shell station. We appreciate that. I think that's the first step. You know, but you know, I guess my main concern is the condition of those homes, of the intersection of Prince Way and Vista Grande. You know, the property and all the trailers and the home is so badly conditioned. Somebody's going to die in that home. I mean, it just looks so bad.
Yeah, in terms of the trailers, we're looking at the trailers that we can see from the addresses or the locations you provided us. And when this is all over, you can talk to Allie Zimmerman, who will meet you in the back, and she'd like to get some more specific addresses from you on some of the properties. But in terms of like multiple families living on a property, there's no regulation against multiple families living in a home as long as health concerns are met. So that it's kind of a tricky issue, but we can address the trailer issue and those type of things.
Should there be something about multiple people living in homes?
I'll defer to the city attorney on that one.
Well, that has been a concern in California for some time, and at one point there were a number of ordinances that dealt with that issue. And one of them, which was in Santa Barbara and involved the UC Santa Barbara, there were, of course, multiple unrelated students living large in various homes and everything there. The city attempted to do something about that, enforce its ordinance, and went all the way to the California Supreme Court, who basically said you cannot inquire into what constitutes a family. A family is not necessarily a blood family. It's a family of people who choose to associate with one another. So basically the rules about you can't have more than one family in an area simply are not enforceable and don't exist anymore. And the only codes that do apply are the public health codes, which are, shall we say, remarkably generous. And those are at a state level. They're remarkably generous on the number of people who can occupy a dwelling, including you have the right to have people occupying rooms that you didn't think were rooms. And if that were not difficult enough, we have no way to get inside and inspect and know exactly what's going on. So regrettably, our hands are extremely tied in trying to do anything about an overcrowded dwelling unless we can find and have an opportunity to get in and find building code violations and things like that. As you know, person's home is their castle, and you need a warrant to go in if they don't invite you in, and so those are issues.
The property owner that owns the 11 acres that are for sale lives on the corner in our neighborhood and drives by this slum every day and has no pride, apparently. He also has properties for sale he's trying to sell to build on. It would only be to his benefit to have the piles of trash removed that we look at. We drive down the road like this. If even a barrier fence, an inexpensive barrier fence of some kind would be a huge improvement, but there is so much garbage accumulating on this property and the properties surrounding it. It's got to be some kind of a health risk. It's really discouraging for us who spend so much money maintaining our property. Our hands are tied. We're very, very frustrated.
And regarding the trash issue or piles of trash or debris, we'll certainly work with you and the property owner on that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And it's just, for us, it's just going to get worse with, the 76 widening, and there's so much traffic on Vista Way, and I'm sure you're all aware of that, and have plans down the road to widen that, but it's just, this is becoming such a real problem on that. It's really probably about 10 acres. It's just...
It is. 11 acres.
So we appreciate, I don't know what else we can do as a group of neighbors to try to clean this up, but we thought we'd bring it to your attention, and we really would, anything you can do, I think, or you can push it back to, there's got to be something we can do as a team to try to make our community better.
I know that I have the same problem. I have a house down the street from me that there's multiple families living in, and so, but like if there's, at least on my street, if there's too many people parking, we could enforce parking, but if this is out in the, there's a large lot, then maybe we can't enforce parking. Or I was wondering about trailers. About the trailers, can people live in trailers?
No, we'll look at the trailer issue. In terms of parking, I mean, in typical subdivisions, if somebody's parking on the lawn, that's not allowed, but in more rural settings, larger properties, it's more difficult to enforce number of cars and residents because they can contain them.
Yeah, there's at least 10 cars parked in there at all times, so we know. And thank you for clarifying the issue on multiple families. I thought there was more code on that, but I guess not.
I wish.
Anybody else want to speak?
They might have a couple questions here. We have Councilman Aguilera had some, and then Councilmember Lopez also. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for being here and for sending the email, taking the time and interest in your community. I think that's the first step. You already took the first step, and second step being here. So I'm interested in cleaning up that area, and if you can keep us informed, and whether you're right or wrong about code or whatever, you don't know the code, I don't know all the code either. Just let us figure it out, or let staff figure it out. And I think something with that propane, I mean, it sounds like it's visible from outside, right?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that too.
Yeah, so that and the trash, we can just, yeah, I mean, all that stuff, just let us know. I mean, I bug Patrick all the time about graffiti or weird structures that I see, and you know, we get that stuff down. You know, the more you report, the more we take down. So,
well, thank you. We appreciate that very much.
And I will say, code enforcement has an active case on your complaints, and cases, I should say. But what we'd like to do is get a little more information from you, so we have specific addresses so we can try to meet your needs and try to meet the needs of the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lopez, so hang tight here. Come on, make him tight.
I used to live on Elevado years ago, and I know what you're going through, because, you know, on Alta Vista, there's some really nice homes, and then right in the middle of those homes, there's a house that doesn't have lawn. The weeds are growing all over. I don't know how they can even get into the house. But tonight, if you remember, I asked on that zoning in the industrial, when they put up the fences, what we were going to do about that, you know, because people who have homes like that have rights to leave a mess, but people who live next to them should have rights to don't look at that kind of mess either. You should have the right too. So that's why I brought up that to check what are they allowed to do there on that industrial. But I think you've got our attention, and like John says, one thing at a time, we can jump onto this, and hopefully sooner or later they're going to get the picture. Okay.
Councilmember Coles.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate the notion of coming and speaking to us in the manner you did does shed light on the problem. It's kind of off the beaten path, so a lot of people don't see what you're looking at every day. But bringing it to our attention, and my experience with staff in this city, is they attend to these things as far as the law will allow them to. And I know that they're going to be looking into this, and I go out there at least once a month to get my hair cut at Wayne's, you know, where he's in the corner. So I'm going to take the trip on down the road and look at it a little more carefully. Okay, I will do that.
Okay, and then I have Councilman Gronke, or Mayor Pro Tem Gronke.
We did get the email from staff, and we saw their response, and I know they're working with you. I just want to agree with you on the frustration that we all feel, because we've tried to address some of these problems before. You may not be aware, but our sister city of Escondido has gone through a number of steps to try to address some of these issues, and been shot down in courts and lost, you know, legal battles and so forth. So it's something that you take on lightly, because there's really no recourse for us in some regards.
You know, I belong to a great golf club, Vista Valley Country Club.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of the community.
Will you speak in the microphone right there? Stick in there so we can hear it. Everybody can hear you.
It's making me want to sell my home even at a loss and move to a different community where I won't be spending the money that I make. And I felt like we needed to gather together before I do. You know, it's like we need to change the way we're doing things as a community, right? So there's no threats. We're just here as neighbors trying to fix it, right?
Shadow Ridge is a great golf course too.
Okay.
But I'd like to expand on that, because
Are you Cheryl? Are you Cheryl? Are you
no,
Cheryl?
Alice. Yeah.
Oh, you're Cheryl. And then Fred, is Fred standing here too somewhere? Oh, he's
My
back there.
cards are
Okay, so
somewhere.
he's next. Okay, I was trying to see who's in the group here. Okay, go ahead.
The house is one issue. There are really three. When we did the petition, there were 20 homeowners, and we could have had 5 times that many had we had the stamina to keep walking. But my main issue is with the Shell station, the Shell gas station. And all of you pass that. At some time or other, you drive by that. people coming into our community drive by that. I think that is a huge embarrassment for our city. And there's no way you can not see it. You drive up that hill, and there it is. It's a weed pile. It's dirt all over the place. The graffiti was just one very small problem. That's easy to paint over. But it should be leveled. And I understand that it's in the process of being sold in another station, but that could take a long time. We've been looking at that Shell station for a couple of years in the situation that it's in. And when we have people to our home, we say, yeah, turn by the Shell gas station, the one that is, just, an eyesore. And that's not the way you want to bring, a guest into your home, to turn at that corner. And I tell you, if you're trying to impress people coming into our town for the first time, and that's the direction they're going to come from 76, or if they're coming from Riverside County, they're going to come right by that Shell station. That's their introduction to Vista. That's not what we want.
Well,
so I think my biggest concern, not only as a citizen of Vista, and I've lived in this town for 38 years, so I've seen this town when it had one street light and 2 lanes all the way through town. I've seen the transition, the growth in this town, and how it's exploded. And the building that's going on, which empties out one strip mall and fills up another one. And then you've got this blighted strip mall that sits there for who knows how long until somebody, moves into it. So I'm asking you, because we're kind of at the mercy of you guys, helping us here and controlling some of this, because if we keep building and letting things deteriorate, other areas deteriorate, and we don't have rules, you say there's nothing we can do about it, then make some changes. Because we have to have some rules and some control over these places that don't look, good. Property owners need to have some accountability. Whoever owns that Shell gas station needs to have accountability. I don't care if it's an escrow. I don't care if there's future plans for it. For 2 years, we have to look at it like that. That's not right. So please do something, to make them accountable. That's it.
And I don't know if it's property rights, individual property rights. You have to, we have to go by the law. So we'll do whatever we can within the law. Other than that,
well, but there has to be something. I don't know what it is. I mean, that's up to you all. You're the experts with all this. But there has to be something to be able to control the way a property, especially a commercial property, the way it looks. I mean, otherwise, our town would just be a shambles. So I just feel like there has to be some solution.
well,
I agree with you.
I agree also. So if there's anything we can do, we'll look into that. But I go by that gas station too. I hated it when it went out of business and hated it ever since.
Yeah, we used to buy our gas there.
So did I. I know. It's sad, very sad. So, okay, and then. Yeah, you're listed to speak. So when they're all through. When they're through, then you can. If they're all through, then I'll call and. Do what? Okay, then when you guys are all through, then.
Questions for me?
No. Oh, we have one more.
I'd just like to add my 2 cents. I concur with all that's been said here this evening. I've lived on Prince Way for 18 years now, and for about the last 15 years, when we have visitors come to visit us, they say, "What's going on here? This is like driving into a third world neighborhood. It's horrible." And it didn't just happen. It's been going on for years.
And the Banker House, there's no
I have
excuse for that.
complaints that I've sent into the city of Vista over the past 18 years. Precious little satisfaction out of it. There must be something that can be done. I've talked to numerous people in the code office, the engineering department. Normally, the results are pathetic. We sent a letter out. This gas station goes on for years now. It didn't just happen. Isn't the city ashamed of it? I know there's lots of other places in the town that are probably just as bad. But we see this every single day. Every day. Our street, Prince Way, is a very upscale neighborhood. But to get to it, it's like driving through Los Angeles, through the slums. It's pathetic, extremely frustrating for all of us. I agree with what's been said this evening, and anything you can do to help us, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I think Renee Glotzbach should be, I should have called on her, and so I will call on her next, and then I'll call on you, Fred.
Good evening, Mayor, Ritter, and City Council members and staff. I want to say one thing.
Renee, pull the microphone right down to your voice.
Okay. I lived here for 26 years, and I enjoyed living here in Vista. Every city has their faults, and I know we all try to do the best we can to make the city better. And we all have to pull together. We need to stand together. Now, Vista's dynamic. It has this one fault that I don't approve of, okay? And I think you know what it is, but I want to say it again. When you have family events with young people, there's no marketing of alcohol should be there, please. Okay. Now, celebrating 40 years of health and hope. 5 healthcare clinics were recently honored, one in Oceanside by you with the help of tax dollars. Private donors to the Women's Center, dedicated workers and volunteers to honor and serve the 57,000 patients every year. Please don't stop there, but continue on to honor the health for all popular Vista Unified School District students and popular North County students and beyond, and members of the Boys and Girls Club, popular also, who want to be great, and the popular Miss Teen Vistas Princess and Prince Court from the popular Rod Run, and also the happy youth who attended the popular Strawberry Festival, and the happy youth from the popular Barbecue Street Fair, and the popular St. Patrick's Festival's youth there also, and also precious baby Isaac and his precious baby sister Kalia. Their much-deserved healthy village city of Vista, not to market alcohol beverages in their lifetime, and for future youth to come to healthy Rod Runs and healthy barbecues and healthy Strawberry Festivals and healthy St. Patrick's Festivals to be alcohol-free forever. Mr. Robert Turley brought fun and joy with his family of 8 parrots. All ages were present, and the car shows was beautiful. Those cars were just breathtaking, and the food was delicious. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Glatzwell. The next speaker is Fred Prince, followed by Alice Salisbury.
Mayor, City Council, or council members. I asked to speak separately because I have a bigger issue that I want to address. My wife is Lorian Smith. Some of you may know her. She worked for the company that established both the Palomar Airport Business Park and the Vista Business Park. They invested a lot of money in the city. My wife couldn't make it tonight because we had a problem in our home, but I also live in the area they live on. I concur 100% with everything they have to say, but I have a bigger issue, and that issue is the whole northern area along East Vista Way, that corridor. That corridor is going to be coming very quickly off the 76 down East Vista Way. It's going to cross the 78 on a diagonal, the sole diagonal off 76 that will take traffic off the 15. And if you haven't been there in the morning to watch that traffic come off Gopher Canyon, you haven't lived until you've seen that traffic backed up 3 or 4 miles on, or 2 or 3 miles on Gopher Canyon Road. We have a real issue in the city of Vista in the northern area. We've got not just the issues that exist on Warmlands and some of the area throughout it, but on East Vista Way, we have problems with weed abatement. We have a lot of buildings. There's no one in those buildings. We're about, when that 76 goes through, we're about to see a dramatic increase in the amount of traffic. And these people have got a lot of money invested in their businesses, And they're concerned about getting people to that business park. They're also concerned, the people coming out of that business park, about going home to their homes, in, whether they be in Fallbrook or Bonsall or they be in Temecula. And they've got to be able to do it in a timely fashion. East Vista Way, and I know we can't do anything north of the city limits, but East Vista Way is becoming a real problem with traffic. It's becoming a problem as far as an eyesore. We need to do something about that. I haven't seen anything in the newspaper talking about that issue. I've seen a lot talking about the widening of West Vista Way. Some of the other places, the city, the discussions that went on tonight about where we're going to spend the money. I'm not asking you to spend money. I'm asking you to go out there and look around and see what's happening. You've got a lot of empty land out there. You're going to have a lot of it's for sale, and it has not been for sale for years. So somebody out there thinks that's going to be a growing area. But we have no traffic control. That one light on East Vista Way is a death trap. The one at Warman's on East Vista Way. I've probably been hit or nearly hit on that street 15 or 20 times by somebody running the red light. But my primary concern is the actual corridor itself and what the city is doing with it. We've got to do something with the county. We've got to widen East Vista Way, and it has to be widened all the way to the 76. We can't spend 20, as Doug and I both know, we can't spend 20, 30 minutes at night trying to come off 76 headed home because the traffic's backed up. And it's backed up because of the number of lights that are there, and then the bottleneck that happens right after you pass Taylor. So I'm asking some consideration on that. I don't know what the answer is. First time I've ever been to a city council meeting in Vista, where I lived 25 years ago in Simi Valley. I went to a number of city council meetings. They did not go well. It cost us a lot of business because of the bickering and because of the loss of interest of the citizens. I'm kind of embarrassed that there's so few people here from the city. I really find that embarrassing, that maybe things are going the way they are, not just in Vista, but in the county and in the state, because the citizens aren't involved. So I'm asking for some consideration about this. And I don't think you need to spend a lot of money. I understand the issue with code enforcement. I know we need to go there. But we have to start looking at that area, and we're going to have to invest some money in there. All of us are homeowners. Our homes are all worth more than $1 million, and our taxes are killing us.
I need to have you wrap up.
I know. So that's basically all I'm asking for.
Okay, I agree with you. Alice Salisbury? Oh, looking around. Okay, so I guess that's all of our speakers. So with that, if anybody else has any, I'll go down and, do you have any comments, Frank? We'll do council comments.
Yes, this last week they had the rod run and the barbecue on Saturday. I have never seen so many cars and people here in downtown Vista. Here you're here talking tonight about, your values, and here we're trying to get people here, but yet, we're not, and I've said this many a times, that it's time that Vista, we do some more infield development, but when the economy is the way it is, it's hard. It's very hard. And so, but going back to the rod run and that, it was great. I mean, it was just, a lot of local people were there hanging out and just enjoying themselves, and the music was great. They played the older type music, which I'm a little older, so I enjoyed it. So, but the ones who didn't show up to it, you missed a good time. That's all I have to say.
Councilmember Coles.
Well, it has been a great summer so far. Our weather's been beneficial to our water park and some of the other outdoor activities that we enjoy here. The moonlight's been wonderful this season because of the temperate weather. The barbecue and rod run, my granddaughters were visiting down from Granite Bay with us that week, and I think they were overly impressed with the kind of things that we have available to us here. And it was exciting to see the numbers and the vitality going on in the downtown corridor that weekend. And So I'm looking forward to a more beneficial year ahead of us, upturn in the economy, and hopefully some elimination of trash. So, thank you.
Councilmember Aguilera.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to add that I had an opportunity with the city manager to take a tour of the Moonlight. I requested that to see kind of how that works between sessions and that, see if we can make it a little more beneficial to the city. I was really impressed with the amount of work that goes into each show and the professionalism that they work at. It's just a shame that we don't have more people actually show up from our own city and from other cities, neighboring cities, to actually see the shows. They are professionally done. They have some great talent that shows up there. So I was really impressed with our tour, and glad to hear that they're open to working with us a little bit more on the stage itself. And then the second thing is I just want to thank all of you again for writing us and being here. I think we need to see more of that, so appreciate it.
Mayor Pro Tem Gronke.
Yeah. Again, I just need to follow what I heard already about the Rod Run, about barbecue. Everything went so well this season. A lot of people in town. I think our chamber and our Downtown Business Association is really coming together, and I do appreciate what they do. I do have to apologize, though, to the mayor. I was given the opportunity to judge the cars the day of the Rod Run, and I thought I chose a real winner, but then I went back later on in the day and saw the car was still sitting there. I thought, this guy's very proud of the fact that he's showing this car off. Found out later when I talked to him that it had broken down, so. But it was a beautiful car. It was a beautiful car.
Just the engine wasn't working.
The engine wasn't working.
Was it the mayor's trophy, or was it the Mayor Pro Tem's?
Yeah, it was Mayor Pro Tem. We'll call it the Mayor Pro Tem's trophy.
And I was sorry to miss that. Both of those things. I was on vacation in Michigan at my cottage with my family. Got to see my sister from Dallas, and all my kids were there, and my grandkids wakeboarding around the lake 1,000 times. But it was fun. Family time is so important. Family is number one to me, so I had a great time. So, yes, City Manager Patrick Johnson, I didn't forget you this time.
You didn't skip me. I have a few updates. Civic Center lane closure that we've experienced for the last probably almost a week now.
Oh, yeah.
Finally complete in terms of having the one lane closed. There'll be some intermittent lane closures between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., but it's that project is no longer going to require a full lane closure full time. Another issue is the Fall Citizens Academy is going to begin on September 12th, and it'll run through October 24th. And this is an academy that we provide where we allow residents and business owners to get more personal with city staff in terms of understanding the departments, what we do, how local government runs, and it also gives you an opportunity to get more involved with the city. And so it's full for the next session, but we are taking signups for the waiting list for the spring session. So if you're interested, you can visit our website and see that. And I also wanted to talk about the early fire season that's going on right now in the county. And got an update from the fire chief. And typically we have fire season sometime in September through October. And because of all the dry fuel from the rains that we had, we're experiencing a heavy fire season. There are currently 14 fires going on in California right now. 4 are burning in the county alone. So we have the Vallecitos lightning fire, and all these fires were caused by lightning. We have the Otay Mountain fire, the Wilson fire, and the Stewart fire. And there was just an evacuation advisory for the community of Ranchita. So it is pretty serious right now, especially since we haven't had any major fires in Vista in and around the area, so we do have a lot of fuel that creates potential. And last, I just want to say the state legislative session is wrapping up at the end of the month, and so we'll continue to track the bills that we've taken action on with the state and provide you an update when it's over.
Okay, City Attorney Darrell Piper.
Thank you. I don't have anything specific except to say welcome back, and I hope everyone enjoyed their summer vacation.
How about our City Clerk, Marcy Killian?
Our candidate filing was extended because our Mayor Pro Tem did not run again. So we close on Wednesday at 5:30.
How many do we have? How many?
We have 7 for sure right now.
Okay. Okay, well, with that, oh, Councilmember Coles, did you have something to say? Oh, I see you pushing your button. Okay, we're adjourned. 7:04.